Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We got a Tayshia video. I'm getting some heat for all of my Tayshia videos. So how about we make a Tayshia video regarding the hate I've gotten from making so many Tayshia videos. I'm being accused of being obsessed with Tayshia. I don't know. I mean, I think her storyline's very complicated. I think there's a lot of unknowns that exist right now in the Tayshia universe, and I think she's a pivotal part of the Bachelor community, one of which I don't want to see her run out of town. So the question is Tayshia distancing herself from the Bachelor franchise? Is there a portion of the fan base that's too toxic and she doesn't want to be a part of it? Does she not like how the show did her wrong on the Men Tell All? So many questions. That doesn't mean I'm not a Tayshia fan. We'll get into it. Do me a favor. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. Don't forget to subscribe to this content and like it an odd number of times. And if you guys haven't already heard, I've got a Patreon, which is a private membership-only community for as little as $5 a month. And the Patreon is actually watching me make this video right now. So everyone say hello from the Patreon. Look, see, Jenny's down there, says howdy from Texas. So we have a whole chat room of people right now saying hello. Angel's ready to make some content. Franny's in the house. We got the whole chat rooms ready to go. So let's talk about this. I'm going to first play this voicemail I got, which, by the way, a very critical voicemail, but I do appreciate these. If anyone wants to call in, by all means, voice your opinion. 401-213-9828. I much prefer a critical voicemail than a critical comment. I just get to hear your tone. So this is from someone who I think calls in a good number of times, so I appreciate what she has to say, but I will defend myself afterwards. Let's have a listen.
I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia. This is Elaine. I just don't understand why Dave is so obsessed with Tayshia. And you literally are just making up stuff to try to make her look bad. What is wrong with you? You and Nick Vial are so petty and jealous and resentful of her that you're just making up stuff. You should feel like you can be a bigger and better person than that.
All right, so thank you so much for the voicemail. So the two aspects of the voicemail that I have to sort of defend myself on: one, am I trying to make her look bad? And two, am I making stuff up? Now, by all means, Elaine, call back. I truly do love these types of voicemails. Let me know if there's a timestamp of somewhere of something I made up, and also, is there proof that there was malicious intent? So as to say, was there something that I got wrong? By all means, I get things wrong. But a lot of the calls that I've received and playing other people's opinions, sharing other people's comments, that's not making things up, and that's not making her look bad. So with this said, we had on the live stream last night, we were discussing this, and I said, wouldn't it be nice if someone took that voicemail and made it into a music video or a song? So I asked for a disco song. So here's the song we got from Elaine's voicemail. You know, the bass drops. Here's the deal with Tayshia.
I just don't understand why Dave is so obsessed with Tayshia.
5, 6, here's the deal 7, with Tayshia. 8. This video, if you guys know, I 100% defend Tayshia in this video.
What is wrong with you?
5, 6, 7. Listen, Bruce has the right idea when it comes to conspiracies. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it was Tayshia, but it could be Tayshia.
I just don't understand why Dave is so obsessed with Tayshia.
Here's the deal with Tayshia. Bruce says, "Dear Dave's mom, Dave is so obsessed with Tayshia. Do something."
What is wrong with you?
With these theories about what's going down, I think it's fair to track it and judge it. I mean, come on, we're doing a live stream right now.
You cut the crap. You cut the crap.
Just added that myself. So what is wrong with you is the question. And trust me, I get asked this a lot. What is wrong with you? So I feel like at the 6-second mark was where it really picked up there. Do I have that right?
I just don't understand why Dave is...
So we don't understand why Dave does what he does. Well, listen, so I can't properly defend myself because I don't know exactly where you're saying I make her look bad. Of course, I did report on her PPP loans along with Ari, Colton, and I don't believe anyone else, but I did report this story as a business owner, television, and this is what Tayshia's response was to being accused of using PPP loan money for the wrong reason. As a business owner, television, and podcast host, and brand ambassador, Tayshia obtained a PPP loan that enabled her to hire an employee, someone who was previously unemployed, to whom she offers market-based pay and benefits. The rep says, since exhausting the PPP loan funds, which was $20,000, $833, and in light of the growing economy, Tayshia has committed to retaining her employee for the foreseeable future. Well, as we know, the PPP loan money is a loan that the government gives you, and they forgive the loan, which means you don't have to pay it back if you use it for the right reasons. And I love on the show, we talk about for the right reasons. Hiring an employee is not one of the reasons why you're allowed to retain the money from the loan. She says, wait, look, this person was unemployed and now they're not. I could hire my fiance to go make me thumbnails all day and pay her $20,000. That's not the merit. That's not what the loan's all about. So her own publicist or whoever it is actually provided a fraudulent reason for obtaining the loan. That's all I said about that. I don't think she had any bad intentions. I think there was a cash grab happening. This was months before she became the Bachelorette, and we had all these other issues. So we've had questions that we've addressed on the show, one of which is very evident right here. One of the commenters from last video. Wow, a third person of color to distance themselves from the franchise. Rachel, Matt, now Tayshia. This is worth being explored. Rachel Lindsay, who I've considered one of my favorite voices on The Bachelor, the way she uses sort of her legal mindset as a lawyer to prosecute her point and hold people to a higher standard. I think she's so media trained, but not in a way to like be super PC. She's media trained to go after the jugular and ask questions and really like make people articulate themselves in their response. And I think she's fantastic. The fact that Bachelor producers have lost Rachel Lindsay as a voice is a net negative to everyone involved. The problem is for Rachel's own health, she had to go. There's a segment of population. Now, don't get it twisted in the comments. Are you calling me a racist? There's a segment of population in our country and for sure that watches The Bachelor that are so vitriolic, that are so hateful. It's a small percentage relatively, but I've seen them. I've seen them in my comment sections. I've seen them in the comments that go straight to spam. Holy cow. Some of the comments that exist out there, it's just not the country I want to live in. You know what I mean? And I don't see that in my day-to-day life. I don't, but it exists out there and is brought to the forefront by negative comments, which Rachel has had to see. And of course, Matt James has had to see. He wants nothing to do with Bachelor, right? His first podcast after being on The Bachelor was to go on the Pompliano podcast and talk about Bitcoin. He doesn't want to talk about Bachelor because he knows Bachelor producers commodified his interracial relationship with all the issues that came around it and profited off of it. And they know that. Now we have Tayshia goes on Men Tell All as a co-host, which they never labeled her as that. Think of that with, whatever you want, how the producers saw them. And is forced and asked to talk about her breakup with Zach Clark, which was announced that day. It made the news that day. She started talking about it. She made her statement. Then Rodney came out to talk, and then it just overwhelmed her, and she walked off. Now you've got people that are calling Tayshia. I'm going to read these, but I don't agree with this. Now it's important to know we can talk about this and not agree with some of the comments that we're talking about. These comments are out there. I think Tayshia is an exuberant, super charismatic, like A-lister within the Bachelor world. Not an A-lister in the celebrity world, but she's a name. She's a Tayshia. She's a first name. But in the Bachelor world, I'm not saying she's Mount Rushmore yet. That's for the Rachel Lindsays and I'm trying to think of like the top, even Nick Viall. I mean, credit where it's due. He's got one of the biggest following, the Hannah Browns, like Rachel Lindsay. Those are like the Mount Rushmore of like the top 5, the biggest contestants have been on the show. But Tayshia is a force trending upwards. She's a force trending upwards. But that doesn't mean like I can't say, I don't think she's a great podcast host. I say that about Grocery Store Joe, how his eyes glaze over when he's on the podcast talk. You could just see he's like watching TV in the background and like, what do you think about Serena? Oh yeah, what? Huh? You know what I mean? Like I get it. He's got a paycheck. It's he's cashing that paycheck like the rest of them. So the one commenter said, when speaking about Tayshia and Caitlyn being good hosts, says, I thought they were ludicrously unprofessional. Could you imagine Chris Harrison running off partway through a show because he's emotional about a breakup? It wouldn't happen. The host needs to be the adult rallying the daters, not a gossipy group member. I disagree with that comment I just read. The show wouldn't have made him talk about this, so essentially comments say, well, the show wouldn't have put Chris Harrison in the position they put Tayshia. They commodified Tayshia. They made her part of the storyline during Michelle's season of The Bachelorette by making her, and I say making her, she might have been in on it. Caitlin Bristow said that Tayshia, because Caitlin Bristow got a lot of slack for asking Tayshia about her relationship on Men Tell All. But Caitlin said afterwards, hey, she wanted to distance herself and say, hey, they asked me to talk about that. They approved it. Tayshia and the producers approved it. Now, what we don't know is if the producers went up to Tayshia and said, we feel like we should be talking about this. What do you think? It would be helpful for your stance, and again, I'm hypothesizing, but imagine a producers with the power that they have to bring her back. She's essentially on a day-to-day contract, right? They can just decide not to bring her back. So for the producers to say, all right, Tayshia, we think you should talk about your breakup. What do you think? And she might go, oh, well, and they go, well, it'll probably be good for your future employment here if you kept people in the loop. Okay, all right. And maybe she felt forced and then she walked off and then in hindsight realized, man, they really did me dirty. They hired me to be the host. They never said I was a host. Now, they listed them as guests or whatever. Now, so you can imagine the sort of bitter, the callousness that comes out where you go, oh, now they're making me look stupid on national TV when my job was to interview them. They made me part of the drama. And could it have been the following week when it's time for her to be at the after the final rose where she goes, you know what? I've been exposed to COVID. I'm not coming. Absolutely. So many questions left unanswered here that it begs these questions. Angel said in the Patreon chat, there have been a lot of unsolved mysteries. By the way, we need to get I know this isn't the unsolved mysteries, but there have been a lot of this is X-Files, but close enough. There have been a lot of unsolved mysteries with Tayshia lately, and we're just here to investigate. So I do push back, Elaine, when you say that I have something out to get her, that I'm being petty and all these things. Tayshia's a huge name on the show, and she drives a ton of traffic because people want to discuss all these things that are unknown. Tayshia unfollows Bachelor Happy Hour. They take her out of the bio. What's going on there? A caller said producers have taken so many steps back. I mean, this is Tayshia being forced out of the franchise. Maybe she's leaving on her own merit. We see that she posted this: every story has an end, but in life, every ending is just a new beginning. I mean, am I taking wild leaps here is the question. These are just a segment of my thumbnails. Podcaster called Tayshia brutal. She was brutal. Let me tell you something. With this video, we watched this podcast, Hollywood Life, or whatever it was called, we watched them say that Tayshia's brutal, and we surgically, line by line, discredited everything they had to say. Now, you might say, well, Dave, by airing what the podcaster said in the thumbnail, you're making it look like you think she's brutal. I don't speak for what the thumbnail says. The thumbnail takes clips of what we're about to talk about. If people, and this is a problem we have in society, if people if they get their news from titles and thumbnails, that's on their critical thinking. It's a problem that we have with how monetization works in the news. But 99% of views come from a thumbnail, so we try to cram in the information that's going to get people to click. And it's not clickbait because the bait that's in the thumbnail is represented in the video itself. But I stuck up for Tayshia big time here. I thought it was absolutely irresponsible the way they spoke about her, and she didn't owe them anything. And I think that I made myself very clear. All right, so we made some videos looking at whether or not Tayshia was with Zach. I think this is completely harmless. We asked if Tayshia's been working out with Zach's trainer. Not to say anything's wrong with that, but to link them together. We're following these clues. Now, could this not have been Zach? Absolutely. Maybe it wasn't Zach. Complete speculation. Again, no resentment there. Tayshia deletes travel story. Now, this is interesting because people gave her a lot of heat for taking her mask off in the airport to take a photo. I could care less about that. If the rule is keep your mask on in a store and you're socially distanced and you want to take your mask off, I could care less. Maybe that means I don't follow the rules. I just follow the sensibility of rules. And if you take your mask off to take a photo, that doesn't mean you're like an anti-masker, okay? So this story she posted then we say deleted, but she hid it for like 8 hours and then it went back up. So when her story went back up, people said, Dave, she didn't delete her story. She privated the story and then later she put it back up. But this was 2 days after saying she was exposed to COVID. So my thought wasn't that Tayshia's doing something nefarious or doing something wrong here. Not whatsoever. But like funny that she's going to LA just days after she was supposed to be there for after the final rose. Fishy, fishy. This is fishy, fishy. My personal opinion, and this is an opinion channel, my thought with Tayshia is that the show didn't want her to be there for the after the final rose. That or there was some sort of contract negotiation. I don't truly believe she missed out on it for everyone's safety because she had been exposed to COVID. I don't believe that. I don't believe she would have been in New York the day. I don't believe she would have posted that 2 hours before she was supposed to go live on air on the West Coast. I don't believe any of it, not for a second. I could be proven wrong. I don't think we'll ever know, but I think something bigger happened where the show didn't want her to be there. In which case, Tayshia's the one who's got like my sympathy. Do you know what I mean? Someone says, is there any chance the show wanted only Caitlyn to host the After the Final Rose and they let Tayshia save face by saying she was exposed to COVID? I absolutely believe this. And this was something that, I took a lot of flack for going, how are you going to say that she's using COVID as an excuse? I'm not saying she's using COVID as an excuse. I'm just saying I think the excuse was convenient and probably brought on by the producers to say, stay in New York. Caitlyn's got this. And that might be a response to some negotiation that was happening or some discontent with the producers that they put her in a position to fail. I'm not really sure. Of course, we made more videos. There's no harm there. We're excited that they could get back together. Happy New Year. Zach liked one of her tweets. Does Zach's family want a reunion? Again, no harm at all there. There's no harm at all. Tayshia likes one of Zach's things. Back with Zach, rumors emerge. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'd love to know your opinions, but I am open to your criticism as well. If you want to call the voicemail line, 401-213-9828. We get a ton of voicemails. I try to play the ones that are respectful. Whatever we use information-wise to sleuth Tayshia's relationships and this and that, it's just stuff that's out there on the social media, right? We're not at anyone's front door. We're not hassling them. We're at a safe distance saying, hey, if Tayshia and Zach were to get back together and there are a couple breadcrumbs, then that would be nice. I definitely think Marissa and Riley's relationship is dead in the water. I don't think Zach's and Tayshia's is. Maybe it is, but there's been a lot of like, hey, maybe we get back. There's been a lot of fishiness with her going into the hospital after the marathon, them having a fight, and the whole like not making it to the after the final rose and a walk-off. This is one of the fishiest of stories that we've had in a while from Bachelor. I'm not saying the truth's going to come out that I've got all the answers right, but I am looking at this from a cynical place where I go, this is all strange. And none of it is to say that Tayshia's done anything wrong. Angel says, please call back Elaine. Do you want me to call her back? I'm not going to call Elaine back, but if Elaine does want to call back and maybe like if I missed a story or a thumbnail that you're referring to as to how I might have misrepresented Tayshia, I'd love to know. Angel says, yes, very well, Dave. Read the book, not the title. And of course, I think Elaine does listen to my videos about, and understands that. But, some people think that like, when you change the way you look at things, the way you look at things change, right? So if you're going to see me as some bad guy who's got these sinister motivations, okay. But also you have to realize when Hannah Brown was releasing her book, we made 15 Hannah Brown stories in a row. I didn't get anything from people saying, Dave, you hate people from Alabama. And I was pretty critical of Alabama. You know what I mean? When Katie Thurston had her mess, I was literally making videos from the lines at Animal Kingdom in Disney World, okay? I made 15 videos in a row about her. Maybe we're a little light on content right now. So if I got a video about Tayshia to make, you bet your bottom dollar we're going to make it. Claire Crowley has experienced the wrath of videos. Again, I'm rooting them on like you guys. We should all be rooting these characters on. I want Tayshia to succeed. I really do. But if I make a video about people that I believe fraudulently took out PPP loans, I can't just make that video about Ari Jr., which, by the way, I made at least 3 or 4 fully dedicated videos to how Ari Jr. is a prick who took the money for his second vacation home in Hawaii. Okay? So it's not that Tayshia's the only one getting the wrath. I just feel like people are seeing it as I'm railing on Tayshia. And that's not what I'm trying to do with my channel at all. It's an opinion channel, but I do wish her well and everyone else. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a voicemail, 401-213-9828, and I look forward to hearing back from you guys. We'll talk to you all in a little bit. Bye now.